someone who's at the back end, or rather who's concluded at least his time with the UFC. We don't know if he's officially retired from MMA because there are rumors between him and Ngannou. There might be a fight. Asaz. Jon Bones Jones has called time on his career at the UFC as officially putting down the crown at heavyweight, having begun his career at light heavyweight and run through the gauntlet, went through the entire campaign as a light heavyweight unbeaten, went to heavyweight still unbeaten. But Jay, how it's ended, right? There's rumors of him ducking Tom Aspinall. There was a lot of inactivity. He came back to win the title against Cyril Gane, which is what made him heavyweight champion. Then it was more inactivity. Then got to fight Stipe, who was 40 plus. But outside of that, Jay, in the last 3, 4, 5 years, we didn't see much of Jon Jones. When you look back at his legacy, do you think those years and the rumors or the claims and the idea that he was stacking Tom Aspinall, do you think this hurts his legacy? Or if you look back at him and you say, well, at the end of the day, he was pound for pound one of the greatest, left the game still at the top in terms of the pound for pound rankings, and was ultimately unbeaten.
Jon Jones had nothing to prove before he even got into the heavyweight division. In terms of what he did all the way up to light heavyweight, had he stopped his career at that point, already the general consensus is that he's the GOAT. You know, you don't then suddenly go from that to then your legacy is tainted because you didn't fight a Tom Aspinall. Now, do I think Jon Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall? I don't know, because I don't know why he would be, unless in his heart of hearts, he really does believe that particular guy is the guy that he stands no chance against and he's going to be embarrassed by him and he doesn't want that to happen. Because even if he went out there and he lost to Tom Aspinall, I don't think he would be embarrassed. And even if he lost, Chuck, it would not move the needle in terms of, oh man, this is not exactly who we thought Jon Jones is, like as I'm saying, his legacy is set in stone. Now, would I have loved to see him fight Tom Aspinall? Yes, especially because Tom Aspinall keeps speaking about Jon Jones, and Tom Aspinall before the official retirement said that he retired Jon Jones, and for that alone, Jones should like be in the ring and slap him silly in his mouth. But that's not likely to happen now. Jones seemingly is riding off into the sunset, or maybe into a fight with somebody else, something else that he wants to do. He did say that he wants AFU money at this stage of his career. And yeah, you measure those things as a fighter, like the money that you get versus the damage that you are likely to suffer. Jon Jones, over the course of his career from when he was 21, winning world titles right up until this point where he's pushing 40, has never been a man who's backed down from anyone. There's never been anybody who stepped into that ring and come out and said that they're better than Jon Jones. And that's why, on that basis alone, Chuck, like, why would I look at like this one situation and think to myself, yeah, that's his boogeyman. That's the man who he feels is under his bed when he turns the lights off in his bedroom at night. No, I don't think that's the case. And as a result, I don't think that he's ducking Tom Aspinall. It's not a good look because of the timing, But at the end of the day, when we look back on Jon Jones' career, that is not even one of the things like that's going to come up, or that should come up when you speak about his legacy. Yeah, but Tom Aspinall is just a footnote in the legendary career of Jon Bones Jones.
I have an interesting take where I side with you, but I've got detractions like from the legacy, because when the UFC was, I'd say in obscurity, but when it was starting to gain traction and starting to become bigger, that's when Jon Bones Jones joined the organization, and he went against the Lyoto Machida, the Rashad Evans, and the who's in the light heavyweight division. And he got his crown, and he got the belt, and he built his legend off that hard work, of him being ruthless. Because people say that in the ring, that's another man altogether, because he's got bad intentions. And you see it because he's the guy who throws vicious elbows. Who's the guy who played Mr. T in the A-Team? Get his name. But there's this kick that Jon Jones had on his knee, like a stomp to his knee. And he says he believes that should be illegal, because that's potentially career ending. I'm like, but you guys kick each other in the face, so what do you mean that should be illegal? But that's the side of Jon Jones' game there. When he comes into the ring, he becomes very vicious and becomes almost hard to beat. And at this point in time, no one did beat him. So when you look at that body of work, Jay, and the fact that he was unstoppable, yes, he had close calls with Dominic Reyes, a close call with Gustafsson. Here's my thing, Jay, that when the UFC finally got into the mainstream, when they signed their contract with ESPN, when they became mainstream, for me, I only saw Santos, Reyes. I only saw about 4 fights that got Jon Jones legit that were happening live. And since then, he's been inactive. Since then, he's been making up weight to get to heavyweight. Since then, he's been fighting Cyril Gane, Stipe, who's 40. And so, my real-time legacy of Jon Jones is tainted. What the body of work where he was collecting the belts, where he's the guy who's got the most title fights, where he's in most of those fights, he's been defending his own belt. I wasn't there. I wasn't seeing those things. The selection that I heard about, caught up to, and when I finally started to watch, I'm like, okay, against Reyes, it was close, but good work. Against Gustafsson, good work. Against Santos, it was close, but good work. Against all the other guys, good work. And then comes this era, Jay, where I'm like, okay, now I'm clued in. Now I'm plugged into UFC. This is what I'm about. When Conor McGregor's come and gone, when Habib has come, Amanda Nunes, when stars have been built, this is what Jon Jones is for me. And I'm like, nah, man, I would have wanted more of that legacy. And so for me, that inactivity of like 3 years, one fight. And then there's this thing, Wooly won't you with Tom Aspinall, and you're like, dude, just tell us you want to fight or you don't want to fight, so the organization can keep moving on. So here's the thing here with me, right? Jones earned all the accolades, all the praise, all the treatment that he's gotten from the UFC, but it became too soft in terms of where's Jon Jones? He's not fighting, but he's pound for pound number one. But he's not been fighting. Habib has been fighting. Islam has been fighting, but Jon Jones is number one. Okay, Jon Jones has to defend his title because in MMA, the record that Jon has is an anomaly because everyone at some point gets beat because everyone fights everyone. Jon Jones was fighting everyone, and Jon Jones got the accolades, got the belts, got the praise, got to be pound for pound number one. But they got to a time where he was the golden child, and he could do no wrong. That he was not fighting, but it was pound for pound. He is the champion. Tom Aspinall is the interim champion, which is not necessarily a title because you're the guy in waiting. So Jon Jones comes back, but he's not fighting Tom Aspinall. He's fighting Stipe. Jon Jones comes back, but he's not. He's rumored to be fighting or rather negotiating to fight Tom Aspinall. It never happened. So for me, largely what I've witnessed in real time, not match the legend of Jon Jones. So for me, Jay, it does take a little bit in terms of the shine. The overall picture, the bigger picture, I was not a part of it. And yes, that is great. That is amazing. But as far as I've been watching this particular legend, Jon Jones, nah, man, there's something there that's a bit incomplete.
Chuck, that sounds like the arguments against Pele being one of the greatest, just because people didn't watch him, and have those opinions, or how the football seems to have started with the advent of the Premier League. There was football before that, and the way we judge. Sounds like to me, Chuck, you feel as though Jon Jones didn't give you the performances you needed him to give you. Hopefully,
we're waiting for 3 years.
We see him have some matches then against Ngannou, and then we can come here and I can ask you, like, are you more satisfied with how this ended?